They may seem small, ordinary, just pennies, but hidden in plain sight are coins that could change the way you see history forever. Today we uncover the top 3 most amazing U.S. Lincoln 1-cent coins. Coins so rare, so mysterious, that collectors would give anything to hold them in their hands. From minting mistakes that were never meant to exist, to coins that have survived wars, recessions, and the passage of time, these Lincolns are more than money. They're stories, secrets, and fortunes frozen in copper and zinc. Imagine holding a piece of history so powerful that it could be worth thousands, maybe even more. Every scratch, every mark tells a tale of the past. Every rare find is a treasure waiting to be discovered. Don't blink, because missing just one could mean missing a chance of a lifetime. Join us as we journey into the hidden world of Lincoln cents and discover the pennies that collectors dream about and treasure forever. The story of the 1998 Lincoln cent coin begins long before the year 1998 itself, because the coin carries the legacy of one of the most iconic designs in United States coinage history. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909, was created to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, becoming the first regular circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. The designer Victor David Brenner produced a portrait of Lincoln that became instantly recognizable, and over the decades, the cent evolved through several transitions, yet always retained the familiar image of the revered president. By the time 1998 arrived, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for 89 years, and it continued to be a staple of daily transactions across America. In 1959, the reverse design had changed from the original wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, created by Frank Gasparro. This design featured the famous monument in Washington, D.C., and included a tiny depiction of the statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, making the cent unique because it showed both the president's portrait on the front and his seated statue on the back. For nearly half a century, this design became a symbol of American coinage, and the cent remained one of the most widely used coins in the world. By the 1990s, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents every year, and the 1998 penny continued this tradition. The composition of the coin had also changed since the early days in 1982. Rising copper prices caused the mint to switch from a mostly copper coin to a copper-plated zinc plancher, meaning the 1998 cent consists of 975% zinc with a thin 25% copper plating, giving it the familiar red surface while reducing production costs. The 1998 Lincoln cent was struck at 3 facilities: the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins with no mint mark, the Denver Mint, which used the D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint, which struck proof coins, bearing the S mint mark. The Philadelphia and Denver issues were made for circulation, while the San Francisco issues were specially produced with mirror-like surfaces for collectors. As the Mint entered the late 1990s, it was preparing for upcoming changes such as the 50 State Quarters program, which began in 1999, and the future redesign of the Lincoln cent that would take place in 2009 to honor the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the coin itself. However, in 1998, the classic memorial reverse was still in place, and the coin represented the closing years of a long era of design continuity. While most 1998 cents are extremely common with hundreds of millions minted, a few varieties attract interest among collectors. One of the most notable is the 1998 wide AM reverse variety. On normal 1998 cents, the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse are very close together, almost touching, but in the wide AM variety, the letters have more spacing between them. This variety exists because the Mint accidentally used a proof-style reverse die on a small batch of circulation strike coins, creating an interesting and valuable collectible. This kind of unexpected die mix-up makes the 1998 cent appealing to coin enthusiasts. Another point of interest is the quality of strikes from different mints. Denver strikes often appear sharper, while some Philadelphia coins show weaker detail. These subtle differences show how minting technology and die maintenance affected production during that era. Even though the cent had become less valuable in purchasing power by 1998, it still remained deeply embedded in American culture. It was the coin children used to learn, counting the coin left in change jars and the coin millions of people saved in piggy banks. Its sentimental value was undeniable, and the Lincoln cent stayed as a symbol of American heritage. The 1998 proof cents from the San Francisco Mint highlight the craftsmanship of the era. Proof coins feature frosted devices against brilliant mirror fields, and they were created using specially polished dies and planchets. Collectors prized these coins for their elegance and beauty as they demonstrated the mint's highest level of precision. As the century approached its end, the 1998 Lincoln cent stood as part of a long, unbroken tradition. Millions of Americans used the coin daily without thinking about its history, craftsmanship, or symbolism, but for collectors and historians. The 1998 cent is a marker of the final years of the memorial reverse, which would be replaced in 2009 following a 50-year run. The coin also represents the modernization of the United States Mint with improved minting technology and evolving coin compositions. The Lincoln cent has always been more than a simple piece of currency. It reflects American ideals, national history, and the image of a leader who shaped the nation. The 1998 Lincoln cent carries all of that symbolism, while also marking an important transition period in U.S. coinage, leading to the redesigns and commemorative issues that followed. The coin endures as an accessible collectible, a reminder of the era and a testament to a design that remained beloved for a century. Through its mass circulation, its varieties, its proof issues, and its place in the long timeline of U.S. numismatics, the 1998 Lincoln cent continues to be studied, collected, and appreciated, making it far more meaningful than its tiny size or face value would suggest. As we explore the deeper history behind the 1998 Lincoln cent, it becomes important to understand the long path that led to its creation and the broader story of the Lincoln cent series, which spans more than a century. The existence of the 1998 penny is the result of political decisions, artistic influence, economic challenges, technological changes, and evolving national identity, all woven together into the story of a small yet powerful coin. The origins of the Lincoln cent trace back to President Theodore Roosevelt, who believed American coinage had become artistically dull and lacked the grandeur appropriate for a great nation. Roosevelt began a movement to beautify United States coinage, and he personally sought out sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose admiration for Abraham Lincoln was well known. Brenner had created a medal featuring Lincoln, based on the famous photograph by Matthew Brady, and Roosevelt was so impressed that he commissioned trace back to President Theodore Roosevelt, who believed American coinage had become artistically dull and lacked the grandeur appropriate for a great nation. Roosevelt began a movement to beautify United States coinage, and he personally sought out sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose admiration for Abraham Lincoln was well known. Brenner had created a medal featuring Lincoln, based on the famous photograph by Matthew Brady, and Roosevelt was so impressed that he commissioned Brenner to design a new cent featuring Lincoln's profile. This was a major change because prior to 1909, U.S. coins featured allegorical figures rather than real people. When the Lincoln cent was released on August 2, 1909, it immediately gained massive public attention. Millions were eager to obtain the new coin so that long lines formed at banks, and the coin quickly became a symbol of national pride. The early coins also carried Brenner's initials VDB on the reverse, which stirred controversy, because some believed the artist's initials were too prominent, leading to the removal of the initials later that same year, and their reappearance in 1918. The story of the Lincoln cent in 1999 begins at a time when the United States Mint was experiencing a blend of tradition and transition, and the coinage of the late 90s was shaped by technological improvements, changes in public demand, and preparations for a major shift that would begin the following year with the State Quarters program. The 1999 Lincoln cent stands as one of the final issues of the century, and one of the last before the year 2000 brought a wave of heightened collector interest and renewed attention to America's circulating coinage. The penny in 1999 still carried the classic Victor David Brenner design, created in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. And for 90 years, this design had remained largely unchanged, with Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the wheat ears reverse from 1909 until 1958, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse beginning in 1959. The 1999 cent belonged to the long-running Memorial series, and it reflects the culmination of 4 decades of that design's use. During this time, coins were struck with fully modern minting technology, which allowed for billions of coins to be produced with incredible efficiency, and the mint's focus in 1999 centered on meeting demand for the upcoming year while maintaining stable production for all circulating denominations. The composition of the 1999 Lincoln cent was the copper-plated zinc mixture adopted in 1982. Consisting of a core of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper layer applied through electroplating. This change from the earlier 95% copper alloy allowed the mint to reduce production costs, and by 1999, the copper-plated zinc planchet was firmly established as the standard for cent production. These planchets weighed 2.5 grams, and their lightweight nature meant that billions could be struck without the high metal cost associated with solid. Copper cents production in 1999 took place at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and the number of coins struck reached very high levels as part of a trend that had dominated the late 20th century, with cent output often surpassing all other denominations. Combined Philadelphia cents in 1999 carried no mint mark, while Denver cents bore the familiar D mint mark. With the State Quarters program set to launch in 1999, the Mint was already expanding capacity and modernization efforts. And as a result, the equipment used for cent production benefited from improved die preparation, polishing, and quality control. This led to sharply struck coins, although like every year there were still minor varieties and errors that would become points of interest to collectors. Among the most notable points of discussion surrounding the 1999 cent is the wide versus close AM variety found on some proof and circulation strike coins, originating from the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Design hubs. These varieties are the result of the spacing between the A and the M in the word America. On a normal circulation strike, 1999 cent, the AM is close together, while on the special proof design, the AM is spaced wider. Apart from the proofs, a small number of Philadelphia and Denver circulation strike coins were accidentally struck with the proof reverse die, creating the 1999 wide AM variety. These unexpected combinations resulted in a collectible variety that remains popular among hobbyists. In addition to the wide AM, there also exists a 1999 close AM proof variety where a proof coin was incorrectly struck with a circulation reverse die, and these minting accidents help give the year its special place in modern numismatics. As collectors study the 1999 cent, they often find minor doubled die cracks and plating blisters, which are common on zinc-based cents, because the copper plating can occasionally separate from the core during striking or aging. These minor anomalies tell the story of the mint's struggle to balance high-speed production with consistently clean results. The year 1999 was significant more broadly because it marked the final stretch of the 20th century, a symbolic moment that reminded Americans of how deeply the Lincoln cent had become embedded in daily life. Since its introduction in 1909, the Lincoln cent had been one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history, and by 1999, Billions of them were minted every year, making the penny a constant reminder of Lincoln's legacy and American heritage. Throughout the late 90s, the cent also became a subject of debate as some economists questioned whether the coin should continue to be produced due to rising production costs and reduced purchasing power. While these discussions did not lead to immediate change, they foreshadowed 21st century debates about the future of the penny. Still, public attachment to the Lincoln cent remained strong, and the mint continued production as usual. The Lincoln Memorial reverse on the 1999 cent had been used for 40 years, and many Americans had grown up seeing the small image of the memorial, with Lincoln's statue faintly visible between the central columns. This design would remain until 2008, when it was replaced by a series of 4 bicentennial reverses in 2009, celebrating the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and then by the Union Shield design introduced in 2010. That makes the 1999 issue part of the closing chapter of the memorial, type a design that had represented Lincoln for nearly half a century. In the year 1999, the U.S. Mint continued to refine its processes using computer-aided die-making and digital master hubs, improving consistency in the coins produced. Compared to earlier decades, the cents of this period were more uniform, with fewer major varieties, although the unintentional, wide AM coins demonstrate that even advanced systems are not immune to human error and technological quirks. These varieties not only add excitement to the collecting world, but they also highlight the complexity behind what might otherwise seem like a simple coin. The economic conditions of 1999 also played a role in coin distribution as the United States experienced economic growth and expanding commerce, which increased the circulation of small change, including pennies. As credit cards and electronic payments were still growing but not yet dominating transactions, the cent remained an essential part of everyday purchases, making mass production necessary every year. Collectors often look back at the 1999 cent as a modern piece that captures the identity of late 20th century coinage, combining mass production, technological modernization, and occasional accidental varieties that create long-term interest. The story of this coin reflects the United States Mint's commitment to efficiency and the enduring cultural value of the Lincoln design. As the century ended, the Mint was preparing major shifts for the coming years, but the 1999 Lincoln cent stands as a reminder of how America's most common coin quietly links generations of collectors and everyday citizens. With its rich backdrop of production history, technological context, and numismatic intrigue, the 1999 cent represents far more than a small copper-colored coin. It stands at the crossroads of tradition and transition, marking the end of one century and the beginning of another, carrying forward the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, while offering collectors a year full of details, varieties, and historical meaning. To expand the story of the 1999 Lincoln cent, it is important to understand how the United States Mint was evolving during the late 1990s and how broader economic and cultural forces shaped the production and public perception of this small yet iconic coin. In 1999, the Mint was entering a period of unprecedented public attention due to the launch of the State Quarters program, which quickly became one of the most successful coin programs in American history. Although the cent was not part of this new series, the creation of special state quarter dies demanded enormous technical focus and strategic planning, and this environment of innovation influenced every denomination, including the Lincoln cent, the equipment used to strike coins. In 1999 was more advanced than any in previous decades, with automated presses capable of producing tens of thousands of cents per hour while maintaining consistent pressure and uniformity. The Mint's investment in laser-guided die-making and digital master hubs brought improvements to the Lincoln cent's details, most noticeably in Lincoln's hair, the folds of his clothing, and the clarity of the lettering on both sides of the coin. These improvements were part of a broader, modernization effort designed to streamline production and improve quality control as the mint prepared for the 21st century. The story of the Lincoln cent, dated 2000, begins with the foundations laid nearly a full century earlier when President Theodore Roosevelt pushed for a redesign of United States coinage that would bring artistry, symbolism, and national pride into everyday currency. This movement eventually produced the Lincoln cent, first released in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Over the decades, the coin went through subtle changes, evolving from the wheat ear reversed to the memorial reverse in 1959 and becoming one of the most familiar pieces of money in American pockets. By the time the year 2000 arrived, the Lincoln cent had already carried a long legacy of cultural significance, representing history, patriotism, and everyday commerce. The year 2000 issue continued that tradition and emerged during a transitional period marked by technological advancement changes in minting standards and renewed public interest in the smallest denomination of U.S. currency. The Lincoln cent of 2000 was produced at two primary facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Both were responsible for striking hundreds of millions of coins that would circulate widely throughout the United States. These coins were created under the same copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982 when rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to move away from the earlier bronze alloy. The 2000 cent therefore carries a thin layer of copper over a zinc core, a design choice intended to preserve the familiar color of the penny while drastically reducing production costs. As collectors and researchers reflect on the year 2000 coin, it is essential to understand how this modern composition played a huge role in shaping the appearance, durability, and error potential of the coin. The obverse featured the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that has lasted longer than any other portrait on circulating U.S. coins. Even after more than 90 years, Brenner's image remained essentially unchanged in 2000, aside from slight refinements made by the Mint over time to enhance strike clarity and reduce die wear. Surrounding Lincoln is the familiar inscriptions including the national motto and the year 2000, which mark this coin's place in the modern series. Collectors often examine the obverse for clarity of strike sharpness of Lincoln's hair and beard details and the overall luster, which can vary depending on minting conditions. The reverse of the 2000 Lincoln cent still displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparro and introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This design remained in place until 2008, making the 2000 cent part of the extended memorial reverse era. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial in remarkable detail, including the tiny yet visible statue of Lincoln seated inside. For many collectors, the memorial reverse offers opportunities to study the precision of the minting process, especially in the steps, columns, and inscriptions. Although millions of these coins were produced, slight differences in die wear, polishing, and alignment give each piece its own characteristics. The year 2000 was notable for the fact that minting technology had become highly advanced, enabling faster production and greater efficiency, but at the same time, these technological processes introduced the possibility of new types of minting errors. Some of the most searched for errors on the 2000 cent include die cracks, die chips misaligned, dies off-center strikes, and plating blisters, which are more common due to the zinc core beneath the copper plating. Zinc-based cents are especially prone to bubbling or blistering when the copper layer separates slightly from the core during the minting process or after exposure to environmental conditions. These errors do not always occur frequently, but they are highly interesting to collectors who specialize in varieties and anomalies. Another fascinating chapter in the story of the 2000 cent is the dramatic shift in public and collector interest during the early 2000s. The value of the Lincoln series had been growing steadily following the release of the 1995 doubled die cent, which brought new attention to modern pennies. As collectors examined coins more closely, the year 2000 coins were scrutinized for doubled dies and other varieties. While no major Class I significant doubled die has been officially recognized for the 2000 cent, numerous minor varieties exist and continue to generate interest in the numismatic community. Searching through rolls of 2000 pennies became a popular activity for many new collectors, inspired by the growing trend of coin roll hunting. The year 2000 also marked the beginning of increased globalization, electronic transactions, and discussions about the future of low-denomination coins. Many countries around the world were phasing out their smallest denominations or altering their coinage strategies, but the United States continued to produce billions of pennies every year. The 2000 cent represents a snapshot of this era, a moment when traditional currency was still widely used, but financial technology was advancing quickly. This context adds to the historical value of the 2000 penny, which sits at the intersection of old and new monetary systems. From a collector standpoint, the 2000 cent offers different levels of value depending on condition. Business strike coins from Philadelphia and Denver are common in circulation, but finding a flawless example in high mint state grades requires patience, because the zinc composition makes these coins vulnerable to scratches, discoloration, and wear. Coins graded MS-67 or higher are scarce and often command strong prices among registry collectors who aim to build the finest possible sets. Proof versions of the 2000 cent were struck at the San Francisco Mint, and these proof coins feature mirror-like fields and frosted devices, giving them a striking appearance highly valued by collectors. The Lincoln cent of 2000 also holds cultural significance because it represents the final decade before the major redesigns of the 2009 Bicentennial Series and the 2010 Union Shield Reverse. The 2000 cent, therefore, is part of the last generation of memorial reverse cents, tying together nearly 50 years of American coinage history. When collectors look back at the memorial design, they often view it as a symbol of stability and tradition, and the 2000 cent serves as a reminder of that long chapter. Throughout its circulation life, the 2000 cent traveled across countless hands, stores, schools, banks, and homes, silently carrying with it the legacy of Abraham Lincoln U.S. minting history and the everyday economy of a changing world. Even today, 25 years later, these coins continue to appear in change jars, old drawers, and coin rolls, offering collectors an opportunity to pause and connect with the early years of the 21st century. Every circulation mark, every small plating bubble, every subtle variation in the finish tells a story of where the coin has been and how it survived the years.